Welcome back to the Box Podcast. This is episode 7, and last week I said that we're gonna have a guest on the next episode, and this week we do.
On the next or this one?
This one.
On this episode?
Yeah, this episode.
On this episode, there's a guest.
On this episode, there's a guest.
Heck yeah.
So we have C.mea. It's probably more likely that you know him.
That is indeed me.
Yeah. Do you want to introduce yourself a little bit?
Oh, sure. I mean, I don't know. What do I say? Like, what even is me? I'm a human being. I'm a green tea addict. I make YouTube videos. I make everything. And I certainly don't make gaming videos anymore.
Well, yeah, that works. He makes those, for those of you who don't know him, he makes those animations with Legos, say.
Gasp. If you categorize me as that really boils down my content to such a small stream. There are the skits, there's everything else as well.
I'm sure people are interested.
I just love animation. But that's what I had when I was younger. It worked, and I just kept up with it. I'll probably stop at some point. For sure I'll be stopping, but not anytime soon. Not that I'm uploading a lot, but at least I'm being active, and my current series, X Fighters, is... Well, it exists. It's, the hiatus is over, kind of.
Yeah. It's a great series. Go check it out. He puts a lot of work into it. There's some voice actors that put a lot of work into it, and yeah, just go check it out, because...
Thanks. It's really nice to hear people say nice things about this series, because literally, like, the most recent stuff is still from 3 years ago. So things have changed. But it's nice to see people still look up to what Season 2 was. That is an old orange or old clementine I'm eating right now. It's all wrinkly. You know, like when you go in the bathtub and you stay there for a while and you get all wrinkly, and that's what I'm getting from this clementine. Wrinkles.
Do you keep your clementines in the bathtub?
No, I have not tried. I'm not opposed to it, though.
Yeah. Should give
Maybe
it a try.
someday. You know, you can't say till you haven't tried, so we're told you've tried, so...
Don't knock it till you try it.
Exactly. All right. So when you called this this podcast the Box Podcast,
yeah,
were you thinking outside the box or inside the box?
Well, what my main idea was, like when I had Alex on the show, was to like have the word box in there somewhere, because like back in the day, like decades ago, people used to call a radio a box, and Alex was just like, oh, we should just call it the box, and then it turned out that there were like, it turned out there were like 15 other people called The Box who were doing a podcast. So, yeah, we're sort of in amongst all of those.
Well, you certainly had to go outside the box to go all the way to Canada to find me.
Yeah. Yes. Well, thankfully we have the internet, and you can talk to someone who's halfway around the world.
The power of the internet is amazing. It's very interesting how the internet has shaped up the world just in the past decade, or even the 15 years prior to this one. Just how technology has evolved so quickly. It's fascinating.
Yeah. Like, I think, like, I heard something about this recently, like, there's, like, certain towns that, like, don't have, like, as good and, like, as powerful internet, and, like, their education system, like, really has to suffer just because of that. And, like, that's really interesting, hearing about that.
It's unfortunate, yes, but at the same time, that's just how the world is. I mean, even now, I personally don't use a Facebook account, and I really do not like Facebook. But being in a world where technology is so prominent, not having Facebook or not having ChatSnap, or like all the cool kids say, Snapchat, ew, then I'm really at a disadvantage in this world, just because everyone is so connected through that, and just texting everyone old-fashioned, or even calling them, or even talking to them face-to-face now is becoming rare.
Yeah, it's like something that we rely on, like, really heavily, you know. Like, it's sort of, we've created it, but like it's sort of become a part of us, and like taking that away is just gonna like set us back like so many years, you know.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And even then, and I don't know. I might have seen this from some other podcasts. I might be ripping off completely, but just going back 100 years or 200 years, what those people would have to show, you'd have to go back a few hundred years or even a few, at least decades, to impress people of the old ages. But from now, you just go back in the past, like maybe 1 decade, and you show what the technology we have now, and you could like blow people's minds away. It's ridiculous.
Oh yeah.
Technology
Like
is advancing, but it's also the rate at which it's advancing is a lot faster every year. It's exponential.
if you go back, like I think say the 14th century, and then like show them some like 16th century technology, say like they're not going to be impressed at all. But like all you have to do is like nowadays go back a decade, and they're going to be like,
yes,
that's amazing.
Exactly. I might have been seeing that from some Good Mythical Morning podcasts. I know I really like those.
Mythical Morning.
I like the way they talk. It's nice. They do have like one topic in mind, but for the most part, they are doing a bunch of tangents as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, technology it's so deeply rooted within ourselves as well, but it's advancing at such a fast rate that raising a child now is becoming a bit more difficult, because every year that they grow, the world changes so much more than the world that we used to grow in.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that like I'm 70 years old, but the fact that we're even seeing a difference between like us and people that are 10 years younger does say a lot. And they, as they will become adults, will see a difference with people maybe 6-7 years younger than them, and the gap is just going to get so much thinner. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Every year is going to feel almost like a new generation as technology advances, and in a way it's exciting, but it's also a bit scary.
I think like for me it's more kind of a bit sad, you know, like than scary. Like I still think it's exciting, but like I think it's more sort of sad that like it improves so quickly, and it's so hard to like create something new and like let it stay like, I guess you could say, relevant for like so long.
Yeah,
you know?
You actually have to put in substantial effort in your life to keep up with technology now.
Used to be so
which
easy.
is a bit crazy. So here's a question for me. If you go on a trip or just vacation somewhere, do you usually bring technology, or do you usually prefer to shut off as much technology as you can?
Well, like I bring my phone to like take pictures and things, but other than that, not really, not so much.
I really noticed when I went to Japan last year that I had this vlogging mindset of bringing cameras and all sorts of things and making like a documentary out of it and making a really, really cool YouTube video, which never happened. I do have the footage. I might do something with it. I should. It's nice footage. It's all in 4K, and I spent way too much on that camera to not use the footage. But as I went along the trip, I found myself wanting to explore everything with my eyes rather than through a camera lens.
Oh yeah.
And one thing I did that really helped me was I just removed Instagram completely, or my phone was, I mean, the only social media I have on my phone is really Instagram, and I follow like so few people that it doesn't really update, so I don't gain anything from opening any app on my phone except maybe Google Maps or the weather. But it was nice to delete a bunch of things and just relax.
Yeah, it's sort of like, it feels kind of freeing, you know, in a sense.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. That's really interesting, because, like, I heard something, I think a while ago, about, like, there being some sort of scientific study about, like, technology making the younger generations more depressed or something, which I think is kind of interesting.
It is possible. I don't know enough about the matter to really comment on it, but I know that as technology advances, I mean, us humans can only evolve so fast, so we're not born with the capacity to update ourselves constantly, or we don't have a fast refresh rate when it comes to technology. We're very advanced creatures, but we're still far behind compared to the stuff that we actually make.
Oh yeah, of course.
In a lot of ways.
That's deep stuff.
Well, that's what I like. Even when I live stream on YouTube, and somebody just asks a stupidly deep question, and we tangent on that for 30 minutes, it's my favorite part.
Oh yeah, I love that. That's like the best thing, to just like lose yourself in like thinking about something.
Yeah, and I think that's the difference too between like an intelligent conversation and something that's more like a back and forth. Of course, there's some live streams where people will ask questions, or they'll ask questions about my series or my YouTube channel, but I'm pretty fortunate. My fans, or the people that watch me, they don't really do that too much. They ask maybe a few questions, and then they start asking some really weird or deep questions, and that's when we have the most fun. I can only talk so much. I mean, I could talk for hours about my series or what I do on YouTube, but it's nice to talk about other things as well.
Yeah. What we were talking about before kind of reminded me of something. Like I was watching the H3 podcast with Vsauce on it, and like he said something.
Oh yes.
Yeah, Michael from Vsauce. He said like the reason, like it's not just like modern technology, like electronic stuff. It's just like technology improving at all that like sort of makes us depressed. Well, not really so much depressed, but like it sort of makes us depressed, because like it started with the invention of something as simple as like the container, because like if you get the chance to like collect more berries than you need to survive, then like that sort of takes away from the sort of thrill of,
yes I remember. I forget which podcast it was, because I know Michael from Vsauce has done like 2 or 3 podcasts on that channel. But he was talking about that. And with the container, the thing is, the human life back then, the sole purpose of living was to survive all day long and make it to the next day. You would forage all day, you would hunt, you would have minimal social interaction. And with that container, you could stock up berries, improve your basically your inventory, and survive longer, so you could actually spend that time doing something else instead of foraging for more hours. And of course, we always seek to reduce our boredom, or we always seek to find something to do, and we always got to fill the gaps. And of course we have evolved from that, but technology has just evolved so much quicker, and it's taking so much space in our brains that when you remove any sort of technology, or when you just try to take a few steps back, it's really overwhelming, especially if you've grown through that for many, many years. And by that I especially mean like the new children. It's really weird to me to see some people that are age 4 or 5 already on their iPads from the get-go.
Yeah. It's kind of scary, like, thinking about that, since, like I never actually really sort of used any kind of technology until, like, say an iPad when I was, like, 8 years old or 7 years old or something like that.
See, that's still way younger than me.
Oh, yeah.
I got my first phone when I was 18. I'm 20 now. That was only 2 years ago.
I was 13.
2 years and a half at best.
That's interesting.
The piece of technology I had was... Oh my goodness, what did I have? The viewfinder. I don't know if you know what that is.
Hold on, let me search that up. Viewfinder.
I'm not even sure if people know what it is from my generation. It's like a dumb like Disney toy, and you have a button and you flip through images and you look through a lens, and you have like 10 images, but you look at those 10 images for months, and it's entertaining.
Yeah, I think I might have seen one of these before, actually. No,
it's really funny. It's like submarine goggles. That's what they look like.
That's hilarious.
I had my first Nintendo DS when I was maybe 9 years old, and I could play like 30 minutes a week.
Oh yeah. That's great. I think technology is like a part of it, but another reason why everyone's so sad, I think, is because like nowadays we all go through like the same system of like going to school and like going to like the same class like for the whole year and then going to college and then getting a job and all of this. Like, I guess like back when we were still like hunters and gatherers and things like that, like we knew so little about the world like that it could literally be anything. But like now it's just like such a fixed sort of like path in life, I guess.
Yeah, I think well, one thing that's unfortunate with that, and I'm not the biggest voucher for school education. There are so many things I don't like about it, and that's coming from someone who is currently studying like civil engineering. So it's not like I quit school or anything like that. I went all the way through, top of the class and everything, basically. But it's a really flawed system. It's really hard to accommodate for everyone, but we're all different and unique people. And to have to go through the same mechanical motions every day or the same route for 15 to 20 years is really taxing on the body. And a lot of people have identity crises, just trying to find themselves or like find out who they are through that, and it's very difficult because we're all in the same boat when we really shouldn't be.
Yeah. But like in schools, like they try to sort of do some sort of effort to change that. Like they have like guidance counselors and stuff, but like in the end, like that's still geared towards putting people all into like the same kind of job and like having everyone do the same thing. Like they're trying to help, but like...
Yeah, it's pushing everyone... Yeah. Well, they're all, like, saying they're pushing for you to find something that you truly enjoy, but the school system will generally have a strong bias towards sending people towards desk jobs.
Yeah.
A lot of people, or a lot of jobs, end up with you sitting on a desk or on a chair, looking at a computer and doing some work, filling papers and whatever.
Yeah. That's
It kind of sucks. I mean, it's a really boring task. Maybe you like it, but on paper, it doesn't really seem too entertaining.
Yeah, that's the sad truth.
So, I mean, you're from Australia and I'm from Canada. Obviously, there are going to be a lot of differences. One thing I'm really interested about is, as you grew up, what were the different sort of pressures? Like, let's say, like, in terms of activities, what you would or wanted to do. Maybe you were pushed to go outside a lot, maybe not, because the heat was oppressing. I don't know.
Well,
because now a lot of people stay inside. They have their technology. They have a lot of things to do inside, and a lot of people don't go outside as much or don't explore the world. There's less like kinesthetic learning as you're a child, and I think that's unfortunate.
Yeah, well, I did used to go outside like a lot when I was a kid. Like I actually grew up in London for like 6 years and lived here since I was like 7. Actually, the British London, not the Canadian London, but
you know about it?
Yeah,
really. I'm surprised. I only heard about it last year.
You only heard about that last year?
Well, I mean, I'm not from Ontario. Now I live in Ontario, so I'm aware. A lot of people were like telling me they came from London. I'm like, oh dang, where's your accent?
Well, I actually learned about that watching a movie like 3 years ago, so I guess...
Yeah, you beat me to it.
Yeah, my geography isn't the best. But anyway,
mine's
like,
okay.
Yeah, as a kid, like I did used to like go outside and like run around a lot. But like it's kind of like what you're saying. Like nowadays, yeah, I just tend to stay inside more. You know, like it's just...
I find myself doing that a lot, and I really have to push myself to go outside more, especially in the summer.
Oh yeah.
There's so many... Pokemon Go was actually a really positive thing in my life in first year, and I still have it. I just don't pay for data anymore because I'm cheap, and I'm paying for data, not my parents. So it's like, of course I'll get the cheapest plan at the demise of my entertainment. But it's nice. It's freeing not to have the power to go on your phone anywhere.
Yeah.
But Pokemon Go, at least, I mean, I can force myself to go outside and take long walks without it. But it's nice if you have that or a friend and you just walk all over. And that's one thing I've been doing here in Ottawa. I know the city fairly well by foot, which even a lot of locals don't. They'll know it by bus or they'll know it by car, but by walking, like transit, and again, the technology is just so convenient that why would you spend your efforts and energy and so much time on using such a basic primitive approach to exploring, such as walking, which sounds stupid because it's so healthy, but that's the debate now.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like we're like engineering technology to like stray further away from nature. Like, the more we actually try to improve technology, you know, it's interesting.
I think so. There are the types of technologies that try to route humans back to nature, and then there are the ones that make everything so convenient that you don't need to work anymore.
Yeah.
And in a way, most technologies, that's what it is. Somebody who was lazy and creative that found a cool way to do something better or more efficiently. And that's the process over time. I mean, books. Books are healthy, but books are like ridiculously amazing pieces of technology right there. You can convey information or keep information by transcribing your thoughts or your words onto like paper and then keep that for years to come and then share it to somebody else.
Yeah. Like
It's kind of amazing.
That's why it's like so powerful just to have a book, and like you can get so much information from it. And like you know, like what's the name? Countries have tried to like control information, and they're like sort of like really scared of books, you know. Like, because of how powerful it is, like, as long as you have that, like, information, you know.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I was hearing a lot of things about, like, the Vietnam Wars. The military was actually not just burning down houses, but they were seeking books and bookshelves to try and burn everything. Because information was so valuable back then that people who wanted to escape, they wanted to make them more illiterate or more stupid by removing the information. And that's one way they were able to target the public.
Yeah, just by like getting rid of like the stuff that they read, like you can have so much control over people, you know.
Yes, or providing sources or reading material that's already controlled from the beginning, and that would be probably an example of that would probably be North Korea, which I don't know too much about, but I do know that their government is extremely strict in restricting technology in the weirdest of ways.
Oh yeah, they're crazy. Like, they're like so focused on having like no one leave that they're just like, if one person leaves, like your entire family goes to like a prison camp, you know.
Yeah.
That's pretty depressing. Maybe we should get into the stories.
That really is, yeah. Sadly.
Do you wanna do the stories? Because we're up to 20 minutes.
Do you want to start? Do you have a story? Maybe that'll inspire one of mine. Because I'm not sure. I can think of a story, but it might take me a little bit. I need inspiration.
I do have like a few of them written down here in my notes, cause so that I wouldn't forget them. Let's see. Where's a story? I have like so many notes like written down from like all the stuff that I wanted to talk about. Like whenever I think of an idea, I just write it down. You know, because sometimes...
Yeah, that's good. Again, writing, such a powerful tool.
Yeah. Let's see, where's... Oh, yeah, here's a good one. So, like, when I was in 7th grade, we went on, like, a field trip to a planetarium. Like, there's, like, this sort of room where, like, there's, like, the roof. and like a picture projected onto it, like a dome, sort of. You know what I mean? Like how in a planetarium they have like the roof is like a dome in the room, and then there's like something projected on it, and like you sort of sit back and look up at it. If that makes any sense.
I've never been to one of those places. I know what you're talking about, though.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Really, it's really sort of mind blowing when you look at it, you know. But yeah, we went to one of those places. There was this guy that was giving a presentation, and like, you know, in one of those things, and like towards the end, like he's just like, he turns the thing off and he's just like, does anyone have any questions? And like people sort of ask some questions, and like there was this other school there, and there was this guy that's just, he asked this question and he's just like, can you show me Uranus? And then the guy is just like, he like gets super pissed. Like he's just like, oh, this was going so well until you had to ask that question. And like he's just really going off on this guy. And like he just straight up ended it there. Like it was supposed to go on for like another 10 minutes. But that guy just he asked that question, and
People were getting detention in my school for making jokes like that.
Really? What happened?
Yeah.
What happened? Tell me one of those. Should be interesting.
Oh, I mean, I thought about another story. I don't, like, they were just saying it. They got to detention. That's the end of the story. It wasn't really much. But,
wow.
Alright. Here's a story. I told that one not too long ago, so it's still fairly fresh in my memory. It happened a year ago, around this time, winter. Back when fidget spinners were still a prominent thing in the communities.
Gosh.
You know what a fidget spinner is, correct?
We all do.
Exactly. Well, you know, they were being sold everywhere. They obviously never fully sold out. I'm still seeing some here and there in convenience stores. Like, they used to be like $15. Now they're being sold $2 each. Still just a piece of junk metal with a ring on it. Well, I swore to myself I would never spin one of those in my life. And I have broken that promise only once. But I spun a fidget spinner out of a homeless man's hand. Now, how do I get to that part? So, around campus, the university campus here, we have two quote-unquote homeless people. We don't know. They probably have some form of governmental income. They probably have a place to reside.
Yeah.
However, they're always on campus, and they're actually harassing students to the point that it is annoying. Different than some other person living their own life and people like occasionally giving them help.
Yeah.
Those people are actually just fairly annoying. Well, one of those two was actually far away from campus, like on a secondary campus about 15 minutes away from that campus where I used to take some karate classes. Still do. I just restarted. It's nice. And there was a bus stop there, so I walked to the bus stop. It was extremely snowy, a lot of snow, snowstorm, like minus, I don't know, 30-something degrees Celsius, maybe minus 27. I don't know, maybe temperatures that you don't really know about too much.
Canada, everyone.
Canada, yeah. So he was there, but I didn't see him, so I stopped at the bus stop, and I was waiting for the bus, and then he comes out of the bus stop, or the bus shelter, and I recognize him. I'm like, oh crap, it's that guy again. I lived on the street that he lived on, or like he was always harassing people on, so I've seen him countless times at this point.
Yeah.
And I recognized him right away. So he asks me for money if I have any change, which of course I respond that I don't, because, I mean, that's the truth. Again, technology. We don't even carry coins anymore, rarely. I use coins for laundry sometimes, that's all, but other than that, you're all carrying cards, and you don't want to give your credit card to a person on the street.
Yeah.
So I don't have any money, but I'm still waiting at the bus stop, and at that point I don't want to like run away or walk away. It's extremely rude, and I don't know what he's gonna do. So he keeps talking to me for a while, explains his backstory. He has like 3 backstories. He's got the one where he has a newborn daughter that needs money for diapers. He has one where he, I don't know, lost his job and just needs money to pay his rent. That's the most boring story. I don't like that one. And the third one is that he came out of jail and is just trying to reestablish his life. Which he chose that story. That story pops out less often, but I might actually be prone to think that he's actually gone to jail a few times. Because I hadn't seen him for a few months, and then he popped out of nowhere there. So, yeah, it was very awkward. And then the bus comes, and of course we both have to hop on it. So we're only us two in the bus on the bus stop, and he keeps talking to me about his backstory and all that. And then he pulls out a fidget spinner and starts playing with it. And I'm like, oh gosh, is that a fidget spinner? In my head. I did not say that to him. I did not want to acknowledge that a fidget spinner existed in the same room as I. Because I was extremely ashamed to exist at that point. And he started fidgeting with it, of course. And then he asked me more questions. Again, he asked me for money. I had a bottle of iced tea, so I gave it to him to appease him, which it did. He was very happy with my leftover tea. Wasn't green tea, though, sadly. I don't think I would have shared green tea.
Yeah, you wouldn't give that away.
No, for sure not. So, as a reward, he explains to me how the fidget spinner works. And how that fidget spinner has calmed him many times, and since coming out of jail, it's been the most amazing thing in his life. And how it has saved him so many times from, like, harming himself and doing all those things. And as a gesture of thank you, he extends his hand and tells me, "Here, do you want to try spinning it yourself?" And I was stuck in this position. I had to say yes. So he spins it, then puts it on my finger, and I have to try and balance that. First time ever, no experience. It falls on the ground and breaks.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Did you get him a new one? Yeah.
No.
What?
So apparently,
Alright.
I was so shocked. I thought my life was over at that point. He didn't say anything. He just popped it back in. It was already kind of half broken, and I was happy with that. Then he spins it a few times. He drops it again, breaks again. So I'm like, okay, it's not on me, thankfully.
Oh, that would have been so scary.
So it ended really well. I stopped at another bus stop and went to instead of waiting until I went home, I stopped earlier to switch buses because I obviously still wanted to get out of the situation. It's not a person that I generally enjoy spending my time with. But that was interesting.
Yeah.
Also, his name starts with J. I forget what it is, but usually if somebody approaches me, I just say that I'm John. And that seems to work. So I've been consistent. I've always been John. My roommate is Greg in the streets. And John and Greg, or Greg and John, we have our adventures.
That's great.
The best part about this story is I like to stretch it a lot, especially in the beginning. And then there's like the crescendo, and then I just break the fidget spinner. Everyone's like, oh no, how could you do that?
Well, I'm glad that fidget spinners have done some good in our communities.
For sure. I mean, they are a meme tool, and they are pretty cancerously annoying in some ways. But, I mean, at the base, it wasn't really meant to be a meme toy. It's something for, people that have attention problems to focus on.
Yeah. Like, I've heard some things about it curing ADHD or something like that, but I'm not sure about that.
Or at least aiding in the process. I don't think that's something you cure.
Well, not curing, but, like, just sort of helps you to focus more or something like that.
Maybe in the future, technology is going to expand so much, you'll be sick. You just spin a fidget spinner once and bam, the morphine or all the nutrients and the drugs come into your body and you're healed.
It's a blessing in disguise. We should have never said all the bad stuff about it. I don't know what to say.
For sure. So, I mean, as we were talking about temperature, there's one thing I'd like to compare here again.
All right.
And that's just how you cope with weather and how weather just occurs all year long in Australia versus in Canada. Because I think we're not just polar opposites in terms of time zones, but our weather and our climates are so vastly different.
Well, I'd say it's mainly like in the middle of summer where it's like really hot and like you don't want to go outside. But like usually.
So what do you do instead? Like how do you cope with that?
Well, we sort of swim a lot.
Oh really?
Yeah. Loads of people go to the beach and stuff. Like, I actually live near, like, a place with, like, a fake beach. You know? Like, because it's, like, near the river. It's, like, this fake sort of beach thing. Just because, like, you know, it's, like, so hot in the summer and stuff. People just want to go to the beach.
That's interesting. I mean, yeah. In my hometown, actually, it's a bit funny. People go to the beach and they like to skinny dip. I don't know if you know what that is.
I know what that is.
Okay, otherwise I would have asked you for like your most accurate description of what it was. But since you know what it is, I'll skip to the chase or whatever expression you use there. But it's very cold in my hometown. It's worse than here. I've actually found the weather in Ottawa to be a lot milder in the winter, or at least it doesn't have the wind that we used to get from my hometown in New Brunswick near the coast. You're by the sea. The sea freezes, and you get those massive winds and snowfall. Yeah. It's disgusting. So, I don't know, apparently to celebrate the new year, they like to skinny dip, and I've never done it. It's actually really stupid, but it's a very Acadian thing to do, and a lot of people do it. They will just go there and jump in the sea. Where it's not frozen, amazing. Of course.
If it was frozen, I'd be a bit concerned that they're gonna die of frostbite or something.
I think at this point, a lot of people still, they surprise me. They say my favorite season is winter, and I'm like, how? You're in Canada. Like, what is this? It's like, in Australia, I would assume a lot of people would not prefer summer. They might prefer spring, but
yeah.
I don't know.
I've actually heard some people call I've heard some people call Canada cold Australia. Actually.
Cold Australia? I mean...
Yeah.
I can see where that comes from.
Yeah.
Our cultures are not that different either. But they're still more different than like Canada versus the United States. I think besides how their government functions and how they receive healthcare and some other things, key differences, we're similar-ish.
We both sort of make fun of Americans, so there's that.
Very true.
Yeah.
I heard some good jokes from another fellow Australian friend of mine that apparently it's been a long time since a prime minister has finished his or her term in your country.
We actually got a new one like last year, I think.
So they keep rotating, right?
Yeah, they rotate like loads and loads. Like I think it's like super confusing to vote because like everyone in like the political party keeps on like switching out and switching in. I don't know too much about politics, but that's it's a bit confusing over here.
Yeah, that doesn't seem generally healthy.
Yeah, it's not good.
We've been pretty okay in Canada for that. I do need to read more and become more educated for the next times that we have to vote. Because I've been eligible to vote for about 2 years now, but since I was in a new province, it's not like I knew who to vote for. I didn't even know the parties too much. So I think it's my duty at this point to at least gather a bit more information and start voting.
In Australia, it's actually compulsory to vote. Like as soon as you turn 18.
Here it's just very, very highly encouraged. And a lot of people do it.
Yeah. I think like if people have to vote, then that's just gonna mess up like the whole system, because like there's people that don't even like know anything about it. There's people that don't even care. Like that's gonna
exactly. Well, that was my reasoning as to why I didn't vote last time. I didn't know anything, so why should I waste a vote somewhere where I can't feel like I'm educated?
Yeah.
Oh, talking about education, what is the subject, not necessarily that you struggle the most at school or struggled the most with at school, but just the school or any other kind of subject in life that you're way worse at than the average?
I'm terrible at science. Like, that's my worst one. But like science and math. I think anything that's sort of like technical is just like what I kind of suck at. Because, you know, like, that's not really my strength.
For me, I realized coming here, people from all those different backgrounds and cultures, one thing I suck at is history.
Oh.
I am so bad at history. It's not that I'm bad at learning history, it's that I actually don't know much history.
Oh, yeah.
Period. The reason to that is because I was from the French part of New Brunswick, and they're very protective of their French culture, which also means that I had to go through Acadian history so many times in my life that we actually skipped or skimmed through a lot of very important parts of history. So if you ask me like how World War I and II started, I might know some things, but I seem like an idiot. It's so funny.
We're like opposites. Like, I think I'm kind of okay at history, but like, how are you at science? Actually, I haven't asked you that.
I would need to. I mean, just watching YouTube videos online, I can learn a lot more about history than I have just in school.
Oh yeah.
But they definitely misguided me there.
Oh yeah.
And wow, I feel like an idiot here. It's amazing.
I think something happened with the internet a bit earlier. Couldn't really. Yeah, I think it's alright now. Cause like I was hearing sort of half sentences from you before, but yeah.
Oh really?
Full buzz. Yeah.
So
now it's going down to
weird.
yellow.
Okay, because for me, my voice is green, and it has been green since I reconnected before.
Huh. Alright.
So that might be on your end.
Yeah, it's like going between yellow and green constantly, but
Well, at least it's not hitting red.
yeah, it's not going to red. Yeah, now it's green, yeah.
Okay, the last few times that I had to use Discord just on my microphone, for some reason it was very low.
Oh yeah.
The connection quality. And I'm using a Blue Yeti, which is decent, so I would have at least hoped that it'd be as good as what it is right now after I reconnected. It might just be the cables not being properly plugged in.
Yeah, the cables sometimes, if it's like sort of half plugged in, that can cause that. I want to talk a bit about music, actually.
Oh my goodness. There's one thing I suck more at than history. It's music.
Okay.
Go ahead.
No, just like what kind of stuff do you tend to listen to?
Nothing.
Okay.
At all. Absolutely nothing. If I listen to music, it's because it's some cool like video game track that I've just had for a while in my mind. But generally, like, I won't listen to things with lyrics on it or in it. If there's something on YouTube trending, I'll watch it once and that's it.
Oh, all right. That's interesting.
Yeah. What about you? 'Cause my whole family's they're all musicians except me.
I tend to listen to sort of I guess kind of rock kind of stuff from like the early 2000s, but like then like I used to listen to a bunch of like stuff from like the 70s and the 80s, and then like now I listen to like that kind of stuff. You know, it's sort of yeah. Actually, now I'm listening to a lot of 21 Pilots because I just really like their new album.
Okay.
Big fan
I know
of that.
the name, that's it. Like, I know the names. I know some artist names, but like, I wouldn't be able to tell apart Beyonce and Shakira. I know the names. I don't know who they are at all. I can tell who can I tell apart? Justin Bieber, or Justin Beaver, as we Canadians like to say. I know what he looks like, and that's basically it.
Yeah, that's
Very bad. Same with actors. I don't know actors at all.
Oh yeah, that's a thing. Like when I see like an actor's face and I'm not sure if it's them, I don't want to like say it's them in case it isn't, and then I seem like an idiot. Like that's that's what I'm really scared of.
Yeah, I feel you on that.
Yeah.
So, have your music tastes changed a lot over time, or have you always been into the same sort of stuff from the beginning?
It has like somewhat changed. Changes every like 6 months, I'd say. Or like, yeah, 6 months to a year. It sort of like changes quite a bit, I'd say.
Really, I would not have expected such a quick rotation. I feel like a lot of people will spend at least a few years on each sort of theme or genre.
Yeah, well, I guess like for me, it's not really something I specifically try to focus on listening to. It's just like if I hear something that I like, I might start to listen to that, and then I might start to get into like that sort of genre a bit more. You know, sort of.
The only music I really listen to are like meme musics, which
Oh,
I know
yeah.
is like it's becoming a genre by itself, but it doesn't make you look cultured at all.
Usually with like meme music, I end up actually liking the song, and then whenever I listen to it, people think I'm just trying to make a meme and I'm not funny.
Same.
Yeah.
But I mean, I generally like them because of the meme, not because of the musical talent behind it.
Yeah, well that's how it starts out, and then, you know, because it gets in your head, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Have you played any instruments before?
I play guitar at the moment.
Play currently?
Yeah.
That's nice. I'm not playing any instruments right now.
You should. It makes you appreciate music a lot more, you know.
I feel like it's one of those things I need to get into at some point. Same with singing, actually. I do really, really want to take singing lesson.
Now I really want to hear you sing.
Oh, I'm
Now that you've
horrible.
said
I'm
that.
not going to do it. There's a reason I need to take classes. There's certain things I just can't learn by myself. As much
yeah.
as I'd like to.
Yeah, I suppose, like, when someone says, oh, I'm not gonna sing, I sound terrible, like, people just want to hear you sing so much.
I
Just to
know, it's
embarrass you.
ridiculous. Well, if you want to hear me rap, there's that Pokemon rap tag I did years ago.
Okay, I'll leave a link in the description.
Oh, gosh. Please don't.
First link.
There's, I've played the recorder a bit. I've played the saxophone, the piano, the drums.
Saxophone.
But I haven't touched an instrument over like 10 years ago. It's been a long time.
You should carry on with the saxophone. That's a real chick magnet instrument.
Is it actually?
I think so. I don't
Maybe
know.
in Australia. I don't know about here. I feel like the drums will get chicks going a lot faster. I mean,
don't
if I
know.
want chicks, I'll just go back to my hometown. We actually do have chickens there.
Okay.
Fresh eggs are the best.
They are.
Just
yes. Let's see. I have some
Drums
stuff.
or guitar. I feel like saxophone. I don't know. If the person's really into music, perhaps. But, like, you think saxophone, you think, like, spit everywhere. Or at least
yeah.
I do.
You gotta have control over your breath or something. I don't know. I know nothing about saxophone at all.
Well, I mean, it depends. If they can turn the saxophone into a sexophone, then that might be good for them.
It could be, yeah.
I don't know how it works over here, though. Not like that.
So, how long have we been recording for? It's been 53
I
minutes.
have no clue. I mean, if I look It says Cult of Beats started a call, or I started a call 4:57 p.m., which was an hour ago.
This has gone by so quick.
I know. I like the subjects that we touched upon. I like that we stayed on technology for so long.
Oh, yeah.
It's always nice to get some Canada versus Australia differences because our countries are like polar opposites in so many ways.
Yeah. This is, it's been good having, a guest on here. It's been great.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to compare myself to how the other podcasts have been, but I assume the direction here was slightly different.
Yeah,
maybe.
Slightly. It's been slightly different, but I still enjoyed it.
Alright.
It's been
good. Well, is
great.
there, did you have any other guests in mind for future episodes? Spoiling your fan base right now?
I actually have nothing in mind, so I don't know what's gonna come next. Hopefully it's gonna be good.
Yeah, I mean, the nice thing is, I feel like just a discussion-based podcast is so much more interesting than an interview-based podcast.
Oh, yeah.
I don't like when people say, oh, I'm going on a podcast, and it just ends up being an interview.
Yeah, well,
It gets pretty boring. The same questions are asked all the time.
Oh, yeah. Well,
You don't get to learn as much from
Yeah.
the person, I feel like.
It's nicer if you just, have, topics that have nothing to do with the person. And,
Right.
Because, you get that from an interview easily. Interviews are just the same thing over and over again.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean,
yeah.
if you just, and they're always on the news, X celebrity has had an interview with X other person, and then you read the questions, and it's like, how did you achieve success? Oh, I worked really hard. Oh, my goodness. Wow. Such insight on the person.
Yeah, you'd think, by now, after decades and decades of the same stuff, they'd have new and interesting questions, but it's just the same thing.
That's the thing. I don't think there's such a thing as, an interesting question in an interview. If the question has to do with, you specifically. Because it's not natural at that point. Not as much. I mean, some
Yeah.
interviews make it really natural, and they don't even go for questions. They go for a lot of other things, and that's better, I feel like.
Okay, there's nothing to talk about because no one's saying anything. I do have something.
I mean, yeah,
I do.
no, I thought you were going to end it, but if you want to continue for just a bit.
Yeah,
I'm
we
not
can-
sure at this point. I think we've touched on some really good subjects.
Yeah, I think
You could easily divide the podcast into the technology talk, the stories, and then the climate talk, and just separate that.
Yeah, I suppose we can
Have
just
some-
end it off here because this is around the time that it usually goes for. So
I think that's pretty good then.
yeah. All right. Thank you for.
Do you have an intro or something special to say? I'm not sure.
No, not really. We just usually just close it off.
You just close it off.
Yeah.
Just, in
I mean,
mid-sentence.
Not just we'd say thanks for listening and stuff. Why am I having a stutter? But yeah, thanks for listening to this episode of the podcast. Hopefully next time we're gonna have another guest on here. Not sure who it's gonna be, but thanks for listening and see you later. Is there anything you want to say to finish this off?
Don't do drugs. Do green tea.
Yes, that's good. All right, see you later.